Two police officers handcuffed a black woman outside a Target store. "You're under arrest for shoplifting," Officer Davis said loudly, making sure everyone could see. The woman stayed calm. "Officers, there's been a mistake. I paid for everything." "Sure you did," Officer Davis laughed. "That's what they all say." What those officers didn't know, the woman they just humiliated and arrested in front of dozens of witnesses was Angela Freeman, the district attorney of the entire county. Their boss's boss's boss. And she had receipts for everything in her bag. In the next 20 minutes, those officers went from laughing to losing their jobs. This story will show you why assumptions based on race can destroy careers, and why respect should never depend on someone's position. Before we dive into this powerful story about justice and consequences, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss more real stories where prejudice meets karma. Now let's see exactly what happened. Angela Freeman was 42 years old and had been the district attorney for 5 years. She grew up in the South Side, the daughter of a single mother who worked 3 jobs. Angela studied hard, got a full scholarship to law school, and worked her way up from public defender to prosecutor to DA. As district attorney, Angela was known for 2 things: being tough on crime but also being fair. She prosecuted criminals hard, but she also held police accountable when they broke the law. Some officers loved her. Others resented her. Angela was also a single mother raising a 12-year-old daughter. On this particular Saturday afternoon, she was off duty, dressed casually in jeans and a hoodie, doing her weekly shopping at Target. Officer Mike Davis was 35 years old. He'd been on the force for 10 years and had a history of complaints about racial profiling. Nothing had ever been proven, but the pattern was clear. He stopped black and Hispanic drivers far more often than white drivers. Officer Rodriguez was 28, newer to the force, and usually followed Davis's lead. He knew Davis had issues, but he never spoke up. He figured it was easier to go along. Both officers had heard of District Attorney Freeman, but they'd never met her in person. They'd only seen official photos of her in business suits at press conferences. Corinne Peterson had been the Target manager for 3 years. She was 45, white, and had her own biases that she wouldn't admit to. She watched black customers more closely than white ones. She called the police on black shoppers more often, even for minor suspicions. Today, Corinne noticed Angela Freeman walking through the store in casual clothes. She watched her pick up items, check her phone, and put some items back. To Corinne, this looked suspicious. She decided to call the police. Angela had no idea she was being watched. She was just shopping, picking up groceries, checking her shopping list on her phone, comparing prices. She had her receipts from earlier purchases in her purse because she might need to return something. When Corinne called the police and said, "I have a suspected shoplifter, black female in her 40s, acting suspicious," she set in motion a chain of events that would expose the racial profiling in her store and in her local police department. Angela was about to become the victim of the very kind of injustice she fought against every day in court. Angela finished shopping and headed to the checkout. She paid for everything with her credit card, got her receipt, and walked toward the exit. That's when Corinne stepped in front of her. "Excuse me, ma'am, I need to check your bag," Corinne said. Angela stopped, confused. "I just paid for everything. Here's my receipt." She held it out, but Corinne barely looked at it. "I still need to check your bag, store policy." "That's not store policy," Angela said calmly. "I've shopped here for years. You only check bags when the alarm goes off. The alarm didn't go off." Other shoppers stopped to watch. Some pulled out phones. Corinne's face turned red. "Ma'am, if you don't comply, I'll have to call the police." "You're racially profiling me," Angela said clearly. "I paid for everything. I have receipts. And I'm not required to let you search my bags." "I'm calling the police," Corinne said, pulling out her phone. Angela sighed. She could have pulled out her badge and ID right then, but she wanted to see how far this would go. She wanted to see if these officers would do their jobs properly or if they'd make assumptions. "Go ahead," Angela said. "Call them." Officers Davis and Rodriguez arrived within 5 minutes. Corinne immediately pointed at Angela. "That's her. She's been acting suspicious, refusing to show me what's in her bags." Officer Davis walked up to Angela with his hand on his belt near his weapon. "Ma'am, we need you to show us what's in your bags." "I paid for everything," Angela said calmly. "Here are my receipts. I don't consent to any search without probable cause." Davis smirked. "Oh, we got a lawyer here. You know your rights?" "I do," Angela said evenly. "Well, I know mine too," Davis said. "The store manager says you're shoplifting. That's probable cause. Now show me your bags or you're going to jail." Rodriguez stood behind her, blocking any exit. Angela made a decision. She would comply physically but not verbally consent. I'm not resisting, but I'm clearly stating I don't consent to this search. I paid for everything, and you have no legal basis for this stop. Davis grabbed her bag and dumped everything on the floor. Other shoppers gasped. Someone said, "This is wrong." Davis picked through her items, comparing them to the receipt. Everything matched. Every single item was paid for, but instead of apologizing, Davis got angrier. "Where's the rest of it?" "The rest of what?" Angela asked. "Don't play stupid. You probably ditched it when you saw us coming." "Turn around and put your hands behind your back," Davis ordered. "For what?" Angela asked. "You just confirmed I paid for everything." "For resisting and disorderly conduct," Davis said. It was a lie, and everyone watching knew it. Angela knew she could end this immediately by showing her ID. But now she was angry. These officers were about to learn a very important lesson about assumptions and accountability. She put her hands behind her back. Davis cuffed her roughly, tighter than necessary. "You're hurting me," Angela said. "Should have thought about that before stealing," Davis said loudly, performing for the crowd. A woman in the crowd shouted, "She didn't steal anything, you just checked. Everything was paid for." "Ma'am, step back or you're next," Davis threatened. Angela was walked out of the store in handcuffs past dozens of shoppers, many of whom were recording on their phones. She was placed in the back of the police car. Rodriguez looked uncomfortable. "Davis, man, everything in her bag was paid for. Maybe you should shut up and follow my lead," Davis snapped. "She was acting suspicious. The manager called us. We did our job." "But, Rodriguez, you want to be on patrol forever or you want to move up? Follow my lead." Rodriguez stayed quiet. At the police station, Angela was fingerprinted, photographed, and put in a holding cell. The whole time, she said nothing except, "I want to speak to the watch commander." Yeah, everyone wants the commander," the desk sergeant laughed. "He'll see you when he sees you." Angela sat in the cell and waited. After 2 hours in the cell, the door opened. But it wasn't the watch commander, it was Police Chief Robert Martinez. Chief Martinez walked up to the cell, looked at Angela, and his face went white. "Miss Freeman, District Attorney Freeman." "Hello, Chief Martinez," Angela said calmly. "Oh my God," Martinez whispered. He turned to the desk sergeant. "Open this cell, now." "But sir, she's arrested for—" "Open it." The sergeant fumbled with the keys and opened the door. Martinez stepped back. "Miss Freeman, I am so incredibly sorry. I had no idea—" "No, you didn't," Angela interrupted. "You didn't know because I'm not in a suit, because I'm in jeans and a hoodie, because I'm a black woman shopping on a Saturday, and apparently that makes me look like a criminal." Martinez looked sick. "Let me get you out of here." "Not yet," Angela said. "First, I want Officers Davis and Rodriguez in here, now." 5 minutes later, Davis and Rodriguez were brought in. When Davis saw Angela standing next to the chief, his confident expression crumbled. "Officers," Chief Martinez said, his voice shaking with barely controlled anger. "Do you know who this is?" Davis stammered. This is District Attorney Angela Freeman," Martinez said. "The person you arrested, handcuffed, and humiliated is the District Attorney of this entire county." Rodriguez actually stepped backward like he'd been punched. Angela stepped forward. "Let me be clear, I'm not angry because you arrested the DA. I'm angry because you arrested an innocent woman who paid for everything. You had zero probable cause. You lied about disorderly conduct. You tightened handcuffs to cause pain as punishment." "Miss Freeman, Davis started. "I'm not finished," Angela said, her voice cold and clear. "You did all of this because of racial profiling. The store manager racially profiled me. You two responded, and instead of investigating properly, you escalated. You were more interested in proving you were right than finding out the truth." She pulled out her phone. "I have the receipt, time-stamped. Every item accounted for. I also have a recording of the entire interaction because my phone was on voice record in my pocket. Everything you said is documented." Davis's face went from white to green. "In addition," Angela continued, "at least 7 shoppers recorded the incident. It's already on social media. Number DA arrested while shopping is trending. News stations have called my office. This is going to be everywhere by tonight." Chief Martinez turned to the officers. "You're both suspended without pay, effective immediately. There will be a full investigation. If what Miss Freeman says is accurate, and I have no reason to doubt her, you'll both be terminated and likely face charges." Davis tried one last defense. "We were just following procedure." "You were following racism," Angela cut him off. "Let me tell you what's going to happen. I'm going to file a formal complaint. I'm going to sue the department and the store." I'm going to make sure everyone knows what happened here. But more importantly, I'm going to use this. Every time your fellow officers try to defend racial profiling, I'm going to tell this story. Every time someone says, "It doesn't happen," I'm going to show them my mugshot. Because if it can happen to the district attorney, imagine what happens to people without power every single day. Rodriguez spoke up, his voice small. "Miss Freeman, I'm sorry. I knew it was wrong, but You stayed silent," Angela finished. "You let it happen. That makes you just as guilty." Chief Martinez's phone rang. He answered, listened, then looked at Angela. "The news is outside. They want a statement." "Good," Angela said. "Let's give them one." The story exploded across national news within hours. "District Attorney arrested while shopping" became the top headline. The video from shoppers' phones showed everything. Angela being calm, showing her receipt, being handcuffed anyway, and being let out while saying clearly, "I paid for everything." Officer Davis was fired within a week. His history of complaints suddenly mattered. The department could no longer ignore the pattern. He faced criminal charges for false arrest and violating Angela's civil rights. Officer Rodriguez was also fired, but accepted a plea deal to testify against Davis and the department's training failures. He lost his badge but avoided jail time. Karen Peterson, the Target manager, was immediately terminated. Target's corporate office issued a public apology and announced mandatory anti-bias training for all employees nationwide. Angela's lawsuit against the police department and Target settled out of court for an undisclosed amount, rumored to be over $3 million. She donated every penny to organizations fighting racial profiling and supporting wrongfully arrested individuals. Chief Martinez, to his credit, used the incident to push for real reforms. He implemented mandatory body cameras for all officers, previously optional, new training on implicit bias and racial profiling, a civilian review board for complaints, strict penalties for officers who fail to intervene when partners act improperly. He personally appeared at a press conference with Angela and said, "We failed District Attorney Freeman. We failed our community. This ends now." Not every officer supported the changes. Some complained that they were being punished for Davis's actions, but Chief Martinez held firm. "If you think not racially profiling people is punishment, you shouldn't be wearing this badge." Angela gave a powerful speech at a town hall 2 weeks after the incident. She stood in front of hundreds of community members and shared her story. "I'm privileged," she began. "I have power, education, resources, and it still happened to me. So imagine what happens to a 19-year-old with no badge, no law degree, no platform." She continued. "Some people asked me, why didn't you just show them your ID immediately? And here's my answer. I shouldn't have to be the district attorney to be treated with dignity. Every person in this country deserves to shop, to exist, to live without being presumed a criminal because of their skin color. This isn't about me. This is about the thousands of people who go through this every year and don't have the power to fight back. I'm using my voice for them." The crowd gave her a standing ovation that lasted 3 minutes. Angela's case became a training example in police academies across the country. It was taught as a cautionary tale. This is what happens when you let bias override evidence. Retail stores nationwide revised their policies on when employees could detain or accuse customers. Target, Walmart, and other major chains sent memos. Suspicion without evidence is not grounds for police involvement. The 7 shoppers who recorded the incident were thanked by civil rights organizations for documenting injustice. One of them, a college student named Maya Rodriguez, was inspired to go to law school because of Angela's example. Karen Peterson couldn't find another retail job. Every Google search of her name brought up the story. She eventually left the state, but the reputation followed her. Officer Davis became an example of how racial profiling can end a career. His name became shorthand in the department. "Don't pull a Davis." 1 year later, Angela was re-elected as district attorney with the highest vote count in county history. During her victory speech, she said, "Last year I was handcuffed and humiliated for shopping while black. Today you've shown me that change is possible, that accountability matters, that we can build a system where everyone, regardless of race, regardless of position, is treated with the dignity they deserve." I will never forget what happened that day in Target, but I also won't let it define me. Instead, I'll let it fuel me to keep fighting for a justice system that truly serves justice. The lesson is clear. Treat every person with respect, not because of who they might be, but because of who they are, human beings deserving of dignity. Assumptions destroy lives. Evidence matters, and silence in the face of injustice makes you complicit. Officer Rodriguez learned too late that staying quiet when wrong is happening makes you part of the wrong. Officer Davis learned that racial profiling isn't just morally wrong, it's career-ending. And Angela Freeman proved that fighting injustice doesn't stop when you have power. It intensifies. If this story moved you or made you think, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel right now for more real stories about justice, courage, and people standing up for what's right. Drop a comment and tell us, have you ever witnessed racial profiling? What did you do? Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss when truth exposes prejudice. Thanks for watching, and remember, respect isn't about titles or badges. It's about character. See you in the next story.